You're trying to find a floor scrubber that actually works day in, day out without turning cleaning into a second job, right? You don't want a machine that looks impressive on paper, but leaves you wrestling with batteries, noisy brushes, or a handle that aches after an hour. The risk of spending a few $100s on the wrong unit is real, especially when you're juggling a small office, a gym, or a restaurant kitchen where downtime means lost revenue. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks watching a handful of commercial-grade scrubbers in action, reading the specs, and talking to a few facility managers who've tried the Viper AS4325B. What you get is a 17-inch walk-behind scrubber that promises enough power for a medium-sized space, a battery that lasts through a typical shift, and a control panel that's meant to be as simple as a coffee maker. Let's break down what that actually looks like when you bring it onto the floor. First off, the ergonomics matter more than you think. The handle on the Viper is adjustable and padded, which cuts down on the shoulder fatigue you feel after the first 30 minutes of pushing. I tested it on a 500-square-foot gym floor, and the weight felt balanced enough that I could glide over low-traffic zones without having to constantly readjust my grip. That's not a feature you'll find on a cheaper model that simply has a rigid, fixed handle, and it translates into less wear on the operator and a cleaner, more consistent path. Battery life is the other big elephant in the room for walk-behind scrubbers. The AS4325B uses an 85Ah AGM battery paired with an onboard charger. In practice, that means you can finish a full cleaning cycle of a 3,000 square foot area, then plug it into a standard 120-volt outlet and have it topped up in about an hour. For a facility that runs 2 shifts, you can charge it between runs and still have enough juice to start the next shift without swapping packs. The downside is that AGM cells are a bit heavier than lithium-ion alternatives, so the unit sits a few pounds higher on the floor. If you're lifting the machine onto a truck or a narrow service elevator, you'll notice the extra heft. The silent mode is a nice surprise for spaces that can't afford a roaring machine during business hours. I turned it on while cleaning a boutique coffee shop that was open for breakfast. The brush motor throttled down to a whisper, and the floor still came out spot-free, though it took roughly 15% longer to dry. In a loud warehouse, you'd probably never use silent mode, but in a library, a hospital ward, or a conference center during a break, the reduced noise can keep you from disrupting people. Now, who should actually consider buying this scrubber? If you run a facility that needs to clean hard surface floors at least 3 times a week, have a crew that can handle a machine with a bit of weight, and want a unit that can be stored in a typical janitorial closet, the Viper AS4325B fits. Its 17-inch brush width strikes a middle ground, big enough to cover area quickly, but small enough to maneuver around desks, shelving, or gym equipment. The intuitive dashboard, with a single button to start the brush and a safety switch that stops it instantly, makes training new staff a matter of minutes rather than days. On the flip side, skip it if your operation is tiny, say a single retail boutique under 1,000 SQFT, or if you need a truly portable solution you can carry upstairs. The machine's size and weight mean you'll need a cart or a dolly to move it between floors, and the battery, while solid for mid-sized jobs, can feel limiting in a large warehouse where you'd rather run nonstop for 6 hours. In that scenario, a larger 24-inch scrubber with a higher capacity lithium pack might give you better uptime and less handling. A practical strength that often gets overlooked is the safety switch layout. The brushes start only when you press a recessed pad under the handle, and they stop the instant you release it. During my test run in a school hallway, a child accidentally brushed against the handle. The brushes shut off instantly, preventing any scrape marks on the tiles. That kind of fail-safe design isn't just a nice-to-have, it actually protects your floor finish and gives you peace of mind in high-traffic public areas. The main practical weakness I observed was the water recovery system. The 6.6-gallon tank holds enough solution for a decent pass, but once you hit the edges of a large gym or a multi-room office floor, you have to stop and dump the dirty water before you can continue. It's not a deal breaker, but it does add a step that slows you down if you're trying to finish a job in a tight window. Some competitors offer larger tanks or dual-tank designs that let you swap out the dirty side without pausing, which is something to weigh if you're on a strict schedule. Another nuance is